Welcome to the Mystic Hour with Clare Stone and Nathaniel Warren.
Welcome everyone back to the Mystical Hour, and this week we are doing one of our patented mystical chats. Welcome back, Claire.
Thank you for having me back.
Of course, the mystical chat section, basically we just sit down, it's a bit like a podcast kind of formula, and we just chat about some interesting mystical stuff. I always come in with the topic, and Claire never knows what that topic will be.
I'm worried what it's going to be today.
Yeah, exactly. So let's get into it.
Okay.
Let's get into it. So what should we start with today? You know what? I had to think about this morning. I thought, what are we going to chat about today? And I thought there's one burning question in the world that I think if you were to say what is the most probably wanted question to be answered, it's this. And that is, what happens when you die?
Oh, God.
What happens when you die? It's a big subject. So we'll break it down into sort of smaller subsections of that, because I think it's, and to be honest, this could be a much longer episode. This might have to be a part one of a 2-part episode.
We'll probably go on back for 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, exactly, because it's that big of a topic. But I thought, you know what, it's something at some point we were going to have to talk about.
That's my job, really.
Yeah,
where do they go? What do they do?
Exactly. So we're speaking to the expert here, ladies and gents. And I suppose a good question would be, what is the afterlife?
Right, okay. So everyone's different in their beliefs. So obviously, if you've got your own beliefs, that's fine. These are like mine, you know, as a psychic medium, you know, you see spirits, you hear from spirits, you get to kind of know where people go afterwards. So a lot of people believe, you know, you go to heaven or you go to hell when you die, or like a big bright light takes you away. For me, it's a bit more casual than that. So you kind of die and it's like you go to what we would kind of technically call it heaven. Right. The other side, but the other side is just kind of like another world on top of our world. I always find, but it's just a little bit nicer, like where you don't get ill, or you don't suffer, or you don't have issues we have now, like annoying frustrations. You know, sometimes spirits will have a good moan about things and stuff like that. But it's just, and you get picked up by people. So you get picked up by family or friends when you die, and then they take you across. That's why when, you know, spirit talk to me and stuff, it can be a bit like funny the way it sounds and stuff, because it's like another world, but it's there's on top. Or if you've been bad, what I say is, you know, you're in limbo. So you're on the earth plane still. So you can't go to the other side. You're just like stuck here as a spirit. Right. Until you repent, or you're a good boy or a good girl, and then you can go across properly and live the dream. Is
there multiple reasons behind that, or is it literally just if you've been bad, then you will be stuck in limbo?
If you've been bad, so if you've done something really terrible, if you've gone before they wanted you to go, that can happen. That's not in all cases. So some cases it's like, we did plan that. Right. You can come across. Other times it's not. And you can get stuck in limbo. That's why I would say to people, don't ever do anything stupid, because it's Russian roulette. You could go across or you could stay. And also if you need to finish like unfinished business as well. Sometimes people can get that if something dramatic's happened, or if you really just haven't finished a cycle yet. So it doesn't mean you're necessarily bad. So some spirits might linger on and feel like, okay, I know I need to finish something off, or I need to help another spirit out, and then I can go across. So by being in limbo, you can help other spirits out that are in limbo, or you can help humans out as well. So by like healing, or like the other day, you know, I crashed my car. So there's probably a spirit on the side of the road that hasn't gone across yet that goes, right, if I help her, then I can go across
and
properly.
You get points.
Yeah, I get points. I can go to the next level now. So, because you do see that quite a lot. Like if I'm driving and stuff, you do see spirits like on the side of the road and things. Right. So sometimes it could be like they've gone a bit before their time, and they're not necessarily trapped or suffering, but it's like, no, I needed a bit longer. I need more time to process
almost
this.
Like purgatory.
Yeah, so it's like that processing kind of like area. But it's not for years. Sometimes it can be for years, and other times it can be days. Yeah. But it's nothing I would say to people to worry about. If they're in that space, they have to be in that space. Yeah. Don't ever panic about it and think, I need to get them to the other side. Yeah. If they were supposed to be on the other side, they'd be there. They'd be picked up like straight away. So either by other spirits or by angels, like things like that. If they're not, like, if for me, sometimes you can put spirits to the other side If I feel like they're being a total nuisance, I'm like, no, they're being a real pain in the backside right now. I'll get them to the side. So you basically tell them to, or you say little prayers and things like that. And it helps it along a bit, or move them somewhere else.
Right.
That's like not around you so much. So yeah, you can do that. There's so many different levels to it all. There's so many different rules. That's why people get confused and think, oh, I don't know if I believe in it. I'll just forget about it, because it is a bit confusing. Or like people say, well, you know, if there was a heaven or whatever, or there was a higher energy, why would I suffer so much down here? And I'm like, well, technically you're in limbo as a human as well. So that's where you suffer, or that's where you have to learn lessons or have tests and things like that.
Yeah.
But like in the afterlife, like in the good afterlife, so if you've gone like to heaven, yeah, it's some spirits who just have normal lives like we do. They'll just like, you know, they'll just potter about, they won't do too much, but it just is more relaxed.
Right.
Or other spirits will help other people, like people down here, they'll keep coming across and they'll help out more. Or they travel sometimes. Not all spirits do, but you know, some do, the more adventurous ones. But yeah, a lot of the time I always say they just come down and just like, what are you talking about? What are you doing? Like, they're like the nosiest people ever. Like spirits are just like us really, but they get more information and they love it. And they like think, it's great. I can't wait. So
there's so many different questions that arise from that one, like, and this is why we're saying it's such a big topic to talk about, because already I've got 10 things on my mind that I want to ask you. But I'll start with this, because like you say, you've given almost 2 dominions. You've given limbo, and then what we're calling heaven, just for the sake of calling heaven. That we're not necessarily saying that's what it is, but that's just probably the easiest way to clarify what the sort of thing we mean. Kind
of knows what it is. You know, when you say the other side or whatever, it's like, well, where's the other side? It's like Scotland? Like, you know. It's like
So the first question I'll go into then, there's no hell.
Me personally, I don't believe in hell. Like some people with similar beliefs to me believe the earth plane is hell.
Right.
So what we live in now is hell, because you get tested so much, or people suffer. You know, you see wars around the world and stuff like that, and people are like, if this was such a great place to live in, you know, why would these things happen? I'm like, yeah, because it's hell. It's not hell, like, you know, fiery pits and demons and the devil and all the rest of it, but it's like that constant testing, or that constant negativity that sometimes this world can be. And that's why me and some others say, yeah, that is hell. This is that realm. And then like the limbo bit is like kind of like, oh, I'm still in it, so I'm trapped, like I can't get out of it. Right. So it's not like a fiery pit, or you're not kind of, you know, burnt with hot pokers and stuff like that all the time. So, you know, like the heavenly bit is more kind of, it's gentle, it's nicer, it feels like good. But yeah, like we don't believe in hell, so you don't go to the bottom of the earth and, you know,
get tortured.
Like in the Bible, maybe that's why they put it across that way, just because it's like, it's just easier. Right. And it's to control people as well. Right. To say, well, if you're really bad, you go to hell. Yeah. But it doesn't work like that. Yeah, you could get put in the middle plane, the limbo plane, if you're really, really bad. But some people, they like worry about so many little things that they've been bad about and go, oh my God, I could go to hell. It's like, no, it's not worthy enough of that. You'll still go to like the normal other side. But yeah, like I don't believe in hell, and I never have done, and no one I know in my family or whatever believes in hell at all. Interesting. Yeah, like, but you know, some people do and have little theories and stuff, but I if I would see it, like that, I work every single day with spirit, good ones and bad ones. You'd see hell, you'd see it in visions. But hell is just more like a nightmare on the earth plane, rather than like, you know, you get sent deep down into it, like you do in the pictures and stuff like that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So with people seeing spirit, and I'm not necessarily speaking about psychics in this sense, but day to day, people just seeing like something, they can't really explain what it is. Would you say majority of that would be from people in limbo? rather than people coming back down from the other side.
Yeah, so it can be a bit of both. It's it can be like, poltergeist activity, that's what we call it, or like.
Is that like things flying around the rooms and stuff like that?
And what we call it, I call them visiting spirits.
Okay.
Or like spirits in the friend zone. And that's what I call them. They're not good enough to be the girlfriend and boyfriend yet. They're in the friend zone. That's what I call them. Yes. So they can see them a little bit more. But then it can be confusing. So sometimes I'll do readings for people and they think, I've seen something. And I'm like, yes, your nan. Like, it can be that sometimes, but sometimes you might have to go to a medium just to differentiate like between it, because it can be really difficult. That's why people get so scared, because they think, oh my God, my family wouldn't do that. And I'm like, yeah, they would. They're just coming through to say hello or just have a chat, and they've spooked you. Yeah. And now you think you need to get your house,
exercised.
Yeah, exercised. Yeah. Your head's going to start like spinning around. And I'm like, it's just your nan. Like, that's just come through, you've accidentally seen. Or like some spirits like that have gone to heaven and stuff, you might see like them walking along the road. Yeah. But people to think, why is it chasing me? Why is it an omen? Have I seen it for some like weird reason? I'm like, no, you've actually just tuned in right at the wrong time. Because anyone can tune in, like you could could see something or hear something, but it's just so sporadic and random that it's that's why it spooks people, and people think, oh my God, it must be a spirit in limbo or in hell or whatever. But it isn't all the time. It depends where you are, and it depends what your mood is as well. If your mood's really down, really low, you're more likely to bring in what we call like visiting spirits. Right. Because they love bad energy. They'll feed off of it. Sometimes good spirits can feed off that energy as well. So they're more stronger, and they're telling you to be, it's fine, just chill out. But actually it can come across the wrong way. So that can also mean things smashing or your lights go in and all sorts of things like that. So sometimes it is good to have someone say, right, just don't do this anymore. Try and be more upbeat, and then they won't come in. Or, it's a good spirit or a bad spirit. Don't do this, don't do that. But it depends on the person, depends where you live. It's just, more of a personal thing what you're seeing, really. Yeah. But like when I see spirits all the time, like I saw one outside here, like when I was coming in like ages ago, that spirit wasn't technically in limbo. He just like standing by the gate. And I could tell if he was in limbo because he'd be all over me like a rash and grabbing. And so they grab and they pinch and they poke. It was just casual. He just stood by the gate. He was quite happy and jolly.
Guarding the gate?
He put his hand up like that. And I nearly put it back and I was like, oh, it's a ghost. It's fine. But he wasn't technically in limbo. He was just like really happy as he was. And he didn't mind that I saw him. Right. Like, because I'm more in tune as well. Like sometimes they'll be like, oh, I don't mind if she sees me. She'll leave me alone. She won't bother me. They know your personality. They can read you. But then other people, it's like, no, I don't want them to see me because they'll bug me and they'll ask me for, what am I doing here? What's going on? You get that a bit on ghost tours and stuff like that. That's why I never go on them. Like they kind of get spirits to do things they don't want to do. They're quite happy walking around their rooms or standing in doorways and stuff like that. I don't ever ask them questions like that. I don't say, what are you doing here? Whatever. They're just normal. They just want to chill out. They don't want to be bothered. So that's why I would never say to the guy outside, like, what are you doing here? Yeah. I know what is there. Like, why bother? And that's what upsets spirits too. And that's why people get haunted, because they're goading them into an argument. And then
you're annoying them.
Yeah, you're annoying them. And then, well, what do you expect when they creep you out? Like, so yeah, some spirits just casual. They just want to, just hang out and stuff. It's not all about you and about an omen or about, what you can get out of them. A lot of they know I don't care. Yeah. They know I'm just kind of like, I know you were here. And it's nice. So when I do cards for people and stuff like that, they'll say, oh, who is it that I've got here? And I might say an initial, or I might say, they're there in the corner or whatever. But I'd never actually talk to the spirit and say, what are you doing? Yeah. Like, you're in limbo, you're over there. It's just, you just leave them alone.
So would you believe when you die, your spirit is lifted out of you and then you're taken to this other place instantly? Or
so that's another different thing. So some spirits, so when you die, they'll lift up, and then sometimes you just stand there. That's what they do. But people are already waiting for you. So sometimes people know they're going to die a couple of hours or a couple of days, weeks before, because people will be still at the end of the bed. Like, sometimes people say, someone's waiting for me. I can see them. My granddad did that. He knew exactly the day he was going to die because he saw my great gran there at the end of the bed. So we knew, like, as soon as he lifted, she'd take him away. other times it can be a bit annoying. Like, so sometimes people die and no one's there.
Right.
It can be because other people in your family might have issues going on. If anyone's got issues going on in your family, expect spirit to linger for a little bit, because they might be with them going, oh, you're all right there for 5 minutes. You're dead. You'll be all right. We'll come back and get you later on to stay where you are. It can be a little bit like that.
Not quite what you want, just as you died.
That's why I always think, God, if anyone, like if me or anyone else goes, like no one else have any issues or problems, because they went, like, that's the thing. Like if you, for instance, you went in a crash or something like that, but someone else survived, they would be with the survivor thinking, we need to heal them. We need to make them better. So there might not be anyone on duty to come and pick you up and take you over. So you might have to wait there for a day or two or a week until they take you. Like, it's like basically like an induction. They bring you for an induction.
Right.
Don't do this, or you can do that. It's a bit like that. That's how I see it. It's a bit more like that. But yeah, like majority of spirits will get taken over by family or friend or any other spirits are around at the time. They'll pick you up and take you and give you and your induction and do all of that kind of stuff. But yeah, some might linger for a bit because it was quick and people didn't have enough time to get you, or there was somebody else. So yeah, I always say to people, like, if you're worried about dying or whatever, don't panic. You will get if you've been good, you'll be collected at some point. And you'll know as well if you were like in that limbo space, because you would just feel it in your bones, like, right, okay, no one's gonna get me yet, like, because I need to repent or do what I need to do. But the good ones, sometimes you just feel like, okay, they'll come. Just gotta wait a bit. Or some people walk towards the light. You get that sometimes quite a bit. Dogs get that quite a lot.
Right.
Where they'll go towards a light and then someone will be at the end of the light for them. So they might not necessarily be at the end of your bed to collect you. They could be at the end of a long road. It's funny, like, I was watching Vikings and they're like Valhalla and stuff like that. It's very similar.
Right.
Like when on an episode, the Ragnar opens the door and they're all there sat on a table and there's this bright white light, and that is very similar to what happens as well, where you'll go in and everyone's there waiting for you at the end, and you walk down, and that can happen too. But everyone's different though. Like, some are more casual, pick you up, take you back, done. Others, it's a little road, and then some people it's like, wait your turn, we'll come and get you later on, and then we'll take you.
Interesting.
The Mystic Hour. Stars, spirits, and souls.
Everyone, back to the Mystical Hour and, of course, the Mystical Chat. I am joined by Clare Stone in the studio, our very own psychic medium, to speak about all of these interesting mystical topics. So, today we have been speaking all about death and what happens when you die, where you go, where you may end up if you've been naughty, or where you hopefully will end up if you've been good. And we're going to speak more about that side of things in this half of the show, Claire, because we've spoken quite a lot about limbo and the spirits that have been left over. But I'm really interested about this. Should we just call it heaven for the sake of it being a little bit easy? You might need to just tap your mic, by the way. There we go. Sorry, ladies and gents. There's technical problems sometimes, but we work around it. So, the first thing I'd say is this other place, right? This heaven. Would it almost be an overlapped place on top of this, but in a different realm, or is it somewhere different completely?
I always say it's more of an overlapping place. Like, a lot of people think you go into a white room or you sit on a white fluffy cloud. Some spirits do, as examples to me, like they'll sit like in a white room. They don't want to show where they are and what they're up to, what they're doing. I'm not allowed to know that sometimes. But it isn't like that. You won't like go into a white room when you die. Usually you'll go into a place that you feel more comfortable. A lot of spirits actually go into the middle of fields, forests, or like, as I was saying before, like Viking type, Valhalla type vibes, like a party atmosphere. It is actually a little bit like that, which I find quite interesting actually. That whole Norse thing is actually quite true. Not all the the dwarfs and goblin people and stuff like that, but more so like it's more of like, we'll sit at a table or we'll have a party. They always love party spirits. Whenever they come through to me, it's like that. But the overlapping thing is usually their time on top of ours. So sometimes you'll get spirits, they'll be like they've died in the 70s or want to go back to that time. It smells like it, the wallpaper's like it. It's really, really strange. And I do find it funny, like sometimes I've heard like all these weird things. It's probably like a Pandora's box more type of thing, where people have gone back in time, or they find portals and things like that. And I'm like, no, it's actually spiritual, because actually that's what happens when I do reading sometimes. It goes back to certain times.
Crazy.
I had it with one of my clients, which is really spooky. Her mum died in the 1960s when she was very young, and I was half in this world, half in the 60s. The music was, I didn't even know this woman, didn't know anything about her. And I was like, feel like I'm in the 60s. She's playing records. She's got her hair all done like that. And she went, yeah, that's when she died.
Whoa.
Exactly that time. And she's there in her happy place. But she still knows everything that's going on down here, because that time is overlapping on our time. And then, or she can go like back and forth into the worlds. And it's so complex and stuff. Like, when everyone dies, I'll be like, whoa, this is like the Matrix or something.
I remember hearing a story of Richard Hammond. Do you know Richard Hammond?
Yeah.
Of course you know Richard Hammond. He, of course, nearly died in a car crash. And I remember hearing a story of him talking about when he nearly died. Yeah. And he said he was in the hospital, I think he was comatose.
Yeah, I think he did go into coma,
Yeah, and he said he was up on these hills I think it was in Scotland. And he was just walking up this hill, and he got to this point where there's a tree on the side of the hill, a single tree, and he says he knew in this time, if he had walked past that tree, he would have passed on to the next life. But he thought, he for some reason, something in him went, as much as that would be very nice, he said, now is not my time, and he walked back.
Yeah. And
this video was actually filmed at the place he was talking about, the exact tree. He said he knew that exact tree because it was somewhere that he walks every day. And I remember thinking that was quite nice. So that's almost like going into what you were just saying, where it's almost somewhere recognizable to you, somewhere which, like you say, could be your happy place. Yeah. That you would actually make the traverse over to the other side.
And if you go like too far, you'll go into like heaven or Valhalla or wherever you believe in. But this happened actually in a dream I had as well once. My dog died. She was dying at the time, but I dreamt that she died. And I was asleep when she did pass away. And I dreamt she was running and running and running across this field, and she went under the hedge, and I woke up. And then as soon as I woke up, I ran out the room. Mum said she's died. And I was like, she went across to the other side. It was like into the other realm. She was in ours, and then she went into the next one. And it is strange like that, how it works. And how you see it so much in spirits will show you their journey sometimes when you do readings. And say, 1 minute I was here, and then I was walking across this field, or this light, or wherever I was, or walk through a door in a pub, and then I was in the other side. So sometimes, you'll do that in your dream state as you're going across, and then you're there and it's done. Or sometimes you just see spirit there and go, come on, we're going now. Like, it's a bit more abrupt. I know that's probably what will happen when I go. My mum will be there going, come on, stop wasting my time. Like,
you're not going to get the nice just walking through a field instead of just
I won't
come
get
on,
that.
Claire.
Yeah. Or you could get that from your dad, like, why are you taking so long? For God's sake?
So I want to speak a little bit about almost the logistics of what it's like when you're over there. So for the spirit, or people that have gone over to the other side, would it be similar to life now, in the sense that I'm here, it's everything is physical, I can pick up this, I can touch this, I can I'm an object in this world? Is it like that, or is it rather that they are almost this spirits going through this world, that they can traverse through objects, fly where they want, go where they want, come back to this side whenever they want?
Yeah, so it's all of that really. Like, so for instance, if you went, you could still do your radio show if you wanted to. You could, like a lot of spirits do that. They'll get up at the same time.
That'd be cool. That'd be a very cool show. Imagine that.
At the same time. And you would do it as if it's real still.
Yeah.
Or then afterwards you could be like, I want to go and get something to eat. You can ping up and go and get something to eat, or you could go through that wall if you wanted to, or go between those worlds if you wanted, or you think, I really want to go and visit my mum, so you ping up and go and visit your mum, and then haunt her for a few hours, and then you can come back. That's what it's like. It's really weird, like as like through the time,
it's almost like being able to teleport then.
Like through time you learn and learn and learn so much, because when I first started seeing spirits, they're just there, like a normal person would see them. they're just there. And it's like, actually, they've had a whole day. They've been doing activities and all sorts of things, or just sat on their chair watching telly. A lot of spirits do that. They just like watching telly.
Right.
They moan about what people watch a lot as well. I've noticed that in readings, like so much. Some woman had trouble with their telly constantly, and I was like, they hate what you're watching. And she was like, do you know what? They didn't like it when they were down here living as well, because they live with me. And I was like, oh, see, there you go. Like, they don't like it. So, yeah, so you get like a lot of that too. Or some spirits just like to have a good old rest. Some people's lives are so traumatic, or they've been so ill for so long, they don't want any stress. They just want to be like, no, I'm just going to chill for a few years. I'm not going to do anything.
Yeah.
Just going to sit down, even if it's all day long if I want to, and just get over this. That's why sometimes spirits, if they've had traumatic experiences or they've been ill for a long time, we call it they go to rest. So they'll have a little lie down. Sometimes they'll have a sleep for weeks or years where they're not even in heaven, limbo, here, nowhere. They're just sleeping. They're in dream state. And then they'll go up and like, I've healed now. Like, because it can be quite mentally disturbing for some people, even like when they cross over like to heaven, the other side, for them. So yeah, a lot of them need to have that rest. So that's why I always say to people, don't ever bug anyone that's just passed away. Because if they have been through a traumatic thing or they've been unwell for a long time, they need that peace. They need that rest. I know like people want to hear from them, no, they're okay and all the rest of it. They're fine. They need time. They're not on the earth plane anymore. Like, so that's why one thing, like you do get a lot from people coming to see, like, why haven't they come through yet? Why aren't they speaking to me? Why aren't they giving me a sign? It's like, it's not about you anymore. It's about them. You know, they're not here anymore. They're not obliged to do anything for you anymore. You know, they've got to enjoy their new life in heaven. If they want to come down and see you and say they're okay in 10 years time or in a day's time, then they can do that. But that's not up to you. That's like up to them. Like people don't give that people, I don't think, enough rest when they die. They just want to know straight away. You know, some people get a sign straight away because they're a family, you know, like, thank God I'm not ill anymore. Living life, living the dream now. Like, so they're always bugging people and stuff. And then you get other spirits that are just like, no, leave me alone. Like, I've had like 5 years of hell. I just want a nice bit of heaven for a little bit and don't want to talk to anyone down here. Give me aggro. So that's what they do.
Makes sense. So could you traverse or do you say almost like pinging to people? Could you do that to other spirits? So people that have passed, you could just go and see them whenever you want as well?
Yeah. Or they just like pop up if you need them or whatever. Right. Spirits usually they cluster sometimes, I've noticed. So if anyone's unwell, if anyone's having a baby, if anyone's moving house, or if there's any disasters in the world, they can sense it and they just instantly ping, like all together. Like that, like very quickly. That's why some people will feel a bit doom and gloom now and again, because you've just got spirits pinging up everywhere around you.
Almost like when there's a fight and everyone rushes over to see it.
Yeah, that's what it is. That is exactly what it is.
Yeah.
So they know their spirits are a bit like me. They can read people really well, and they can read other spirits really well, or sense the energy. And like, I need to be here, or I need to be closer. Because something's kicking off and I need to like be there. Like that's how I can tell if something really terrible is going to happen in the world, or something really bad's going to happen, because they cluster and they ping here and they ping there and they all gather together like more strongly, which is annoying for me because all you can hear is them chatting all the time. Not to me, to each other, and it's themselves. Like, oh, can you just shut up? Like, oh my God. But it's good for me because I can tell. I usually write it down, or I'll keep it in my mind, like, oh, something's going to kick off in a week or two. Not for me, because if it was for me, you wouldn't get anything. Right. It'd just be dead. But if it's in the wider world and stuff, like things going on at the moment, like you feel like doom and gloom, where you feel something's off. You can feel them there. You see them all. Like at the moment, they're outside every 5 minutes. Yeah. Whereas they're not. Shouldn't be like that all the time. Yeah. So yeah, it's very apt that things have started coming true. You predict, because they just heal people. Yeah. Or they do protection on families, so they feel like, well, just in case, protect. Yeah. Even though you don't really need it, they just do it. But yeah, so you get that quite a lot too.
So here's another question that I'll ask, because this is something we've spoken about before in terms of the afterlife, and I always think this is quite a funny topic to go into. The idea of having a job after you pass. So do you mind going into a bit of that as well?
Spirits hate this. They hate it. Oh my God. Like when spirit people die, right? So you can have those moments where you're chilled out and things like that. Eventually, you're going to have to get a job in spirit.
Not quite the heaven you were all hoping for, ladies and gents.
A lot of like very spiritual people or druidy type people believe this as well, that you get a role in. So like sometimes people even go to school in heaven and things like that. But yeah, you do, like, so it's more like healing or support. So it doesn't even have to be your family. So you could pass away and think, I'm just healing my family. I'm just helping and supporting them. Nope. You could get seconded somewhere. You could get seconded to Australia tomorrow and say, right, help Tim over there for 6 weeks because he's going to go through a difficult time. You're like, I don't even know him. Like, but you have to do it. That's what it's like. And that's, again, where you get clusters with spirits and people like that, like, because it's like they're all together. So you do get jobs like that, like quite a bit, or helping out with other things and bits and bobs, collecting people as well, collecting people you don't even know. Someone's on their own and they're lonely. You might get that too. Not all the time. There's some spirits work when they're over there. Like they are constantly on it, like guides. So you might have to be someone's guide.
Right.
So you might have to follow someone around all the time where you're like, oh my God, I don't want this.
That sounds like a high stress job.
Yeah. But you get other privileges though. So you're not ill. You can still have your free time now and again. You can still go traveling and go where you want, and stuff like that. But eventually, yeah, once you've had rest time or you feel or you don't want to come back and live on the earth plane, you'll probably get a job of some kind. If it's not family, it will be somebody else. But yeah, that's the biggest moan I get a lot from some spirits, where it's like, oh, today I've had to go out and do this, and I didn't sign up for this when it came in. It's like you can't have everything for free, even in heaven. You've got to do something, but it could be once a year or something. Someone says, "Oh, could you do this job for me?" But yeah, because like, you know, you get angels and stuff like that above spirit, but their job is they work 24/7. Angels, so it's like, well, you could at least help out a little bit, like, you know. Got to keep this moving up here. But yeah, that is funny, how if you feel like you're just going to be sat eternally in your chair watching telly, that is not going to happen in heaven at all.
So we already kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, but this is one of the last things we'll touch on today, the idea of time in heaven. So like we say, you could have, there's people, you know, well, obviously there's people that passed thousands of years ago. Would they be mixed in with people that are passing now, or would they almost be in their own section of time within heaven?
They're mixed.
Right.
What happens, a lot of people say, you know, well, how do you know these people existed or whatever? You know, they never come through in spirit. So like Neanderthal people or whatever, they're not in spirit. I'm like, that is because a lot of people come back down to the earth plane. So you'll be like reborn, or you have lessons, like things like that, or they're guides. So a lot of the time with guides, you won't see a guide, because guides have to be behind the scenes, like behind the curtain. They're managing everything and making sure everything's fine. So you don't really see them as much. So that's what you get. But yeah, any like Victorians older than that, they will mix with everyone. Like ancestors and stuff like that, I see them in my dreams, my ancestors and stuff, and I backdate it. That's why I'm obsessed with family history, because I see them. I need research. Who is it?
Yeah.
Who am I seeing? I've been to a certain house. Who lived at that house? I need to know. So yeah, they do come in and they mix ancestors. It's usually within your own family though.
Right.
So you could have ancestors from the 1600s mix in with someone that died yesterday. Or they could even be the one that picks you up. It could even be that. I've had ancestors from 1700s I've had come through, freaked the hell out of me, didn't know who it was, gone back and thought, that's who it is, because of what they were holding in their hands and things like that. But yeah, that is crazy over there. But yeah, some people don't believe in like rebirth and all the rest of it. I do, because I've kind of seen it happen within readings, or a lot of spirits will say, after you come over here, I will be reborn again. Some aren't, though. Some don't want it at all. They're like, I'm never coming back down here ever again. I'd rather just stay here.
Right.
Or they've had enough lives to be like, no, you've had enough now. You're not doing that again. Or they want to like finish off unfinished business or have a different experience they can't kind of do in spirit. Like they want to feel it more. That's the thing spirits moan about a little bit, is they don't feel things sometimes as much as we do. They want to feel that physicalness of certain things, or that emotion, because they don't get that emotion as much in spirit. Some spirits cry, and some spirits get angry about things, but it's very fleeting. It's not, you know, they haven't got a smile on their face 24/7, but it's not like how we feel things down here, like within our heart. It's very different over there. Like they get over it really quickly. Whereas we don't. We linger, we fester on it. But some love it. They're like, no, I need to feel that because it's
you need to feel
makes
human.
you feel good.
Yeah. So could you tell if someone had been reborn? Could you, if you were speaking to someone, could you go, that's not your first life?
Yeah, nearly everyone, to be fair. Nearly everyone I see has been here before.
Right.
Yeah. You know, when like the babies especially, like some people, you know, have miscarriages and stuff like that, and their babies are reborn straight away. It's like spirit recycle sometimes. They're like, no, I'm not messing around making a new one, or they have to die so this one comes back. They don't want to deal with that, so they'll be reborn straight away. Others aren't. Some will just stay there and grow in spirit and then never, or go back to their previous life in spirit and never come back. But yeah, like most people here have been reborn. If no, it's more actually getting someone that hasn't ever lived here before. You can usually tell the ones, like, because they're crazy. They're absolutely off their heads.
Right.
Crazy. It's like they don't know how to deal with, like, a lot of people are a bit more stable. If they lived before, it's like, I know not to do that. It's like weird in your
almost like working on instinct.
Yeah, you're working on your instinct. It's like it clicks in the back of your mind, like, oh, okay. Whereas some people that are a bit all over the place, quite wild, have no inhibition. Yeah. I'm like, you have definitely not been here before. You haven't got a clue. It's very rare, really rare though that happens. Yeah. And it's difficult to tell someone's past life as well, because you could have had about 10. Right. So, you know, so it all kind of feels like it's mixed into one. Yeah, you're a Victorian old man when you died or whatever, but then you probably had about 10 other lives before that. Like it's just so complicated. But yeah, most people come back, and then when they pass away, they'll go back to their new families and integrate, or they might be like, nah, go back to this one or this. I hate my family. I'm going back to being an old man again when I died. Interesting. Years ago, yeah. Well, I think that's a really good place to leave it, to be fair. Cool. I think that's been a really, really interesting chat. Hopefully all of you watching at home have enjoyed it as well. Don't forget to leave a like, leave a comment. What do you want us to speak about next? And of course, subscribe to our YouTube if you are watching on there. If you're listening on the radio, don't forget to check out some of our other shows. We, of course, do Tarot Tuesdays every single Tuesday and the Mystical Hour every single Thursday, 8 until 9 a.m. Who knows what we'll talk about? You have to tune in and find out. Nice. Well, thanks for joining me again, Claire. Thank you. And yeah, enjoy these tracks, everyone. See you on Tuesday.